Alrighty, guys. Hello and welcome back to the show. So today we have a 1v1. Believe this is a ladder match that is coming your way. It is going down on Seraphim Glaciers, the FAF version, of course. And this is a game. This is a map that I posted actually a gameplay video of pretty recently, where I played this map. If you guys want to go and watch that video and compare how terribly I play versus how these guys play, I will link it down in the description below for you guys. But let's go ahead and introduce our players. So up in the north, we have Paul Morphy, who's going to UEF, opening first and second air, actually. And down in the south, we have Excelsior, who is also going UEF, opening first land, and it would look like second air. So let's go ahead and we can go to split screen to take a look at both of these guys and how they open up their builds. Whoop. Noob camera work. It's okay. It's a work in progress, you know. There we go. Okay. Both these guys are relatively well centered in frame here. The minimap is giving me some problems, but you know, we're going to deal with it. So, looking at, I'm familiar with Excelsior. I've never met actually Paul Morphy before. But Excelsior has chewed me up and spit me out a couple of times on the ladder, and he's actually one of the opponents that Penguin and I faced during the Teammate and Me tournament. Super chill dude, really nice guy. If you guys ever get a chance to meet him, tell him I said hey. He's a nice guy. So as we're looking at the openings here, it would look like Excelsior prioritized a little bit more of the early mass, so he's got 3 mexes up, while Paul is going for his third right now with expanding engineers moving out. But Excelsior is slightly behind on the power, which kind of makes sense because, you know, Paul going for air first. The air factory, first off, just takes more energy to build the actual structure. And then if you're going to be going for air units right off the bat, it's going to cost you a little bit more of that precious lightning bolt. But Excelsior now getting to work on his second factory, that air factory. It's going to allow him to run some drops across the map. I don't think that it's 100% worth it to go first air and then second air and then just build engineers out of your initial air factory. Although you can see down there in the queue, after this engineer, he is getting to work on that initial Starlifter, whereas Excelsior going immediately for the Starlifter out of his factory. So yeah, it's maybe paying off here as I make a noob mouse movement real quick. And Excelsior appears to be energy stalling there for a split second as he pauses everything. But Starlifter is going to come out almost, or Couriers, sorry, not Starlifters. Starlifter is the Tech 2. But so the Courier is going to come out almost identically. And let's go ahead and go back to single screen to see where these guys are going to end up going. So for Paul, if we flip to his perspective here, he's got a couple drops planned, ultimately culminating just off of this central island there in the, actually, nope, going first for the central island and then dropping the southern island and then the perimeter island out here on the western side of the map. And then flipping over to Excelsior, he's putting all of his eggs in one basket, going immediately for that central island. There's a lot of good mass on that island. 8 mexes as well as a hydro, which is not a bad thing to have in your coffers. So as these guys both end up dropping on or very near this island, Excelsior is going to make landfall first. He's got 5 engineers going to go straight to work on that land factory, while Paul, also with 5 engineers, going to be a little bit behind on the land factory game, but he is focusing it with all 5 engineers, whereas Excelsior is splitting up, grabbing some mass as well, and only got 2 on that initial land factory. So land factory for Paul is going to go up first, goes immediately to work on a second one, and then starts cranking out some mech marines. That is going to be a problem for Excelsior to deal with right off the bat. Let's see what he goes for immediately. So he's also going for some mech marines and going to work on a point defense there in the middle to try and blunt the offensive capacity there of Paul. And Paul not going to be able to get in there and take out these engineers before that point defense goes down. See the mech marines just absolutely eviscerated. No tolerance at all. This is the Civil War, so to speak. Brother versus brother, fathers versus sons. I'm talking about the American Civil War. I realize I do have a global audience, so I should probably clarify that. As a bomber comes in for Paul, and Excelsior's engineers are all very dangerously grouped up here. That bomber is going to tank all of them. What a bomber. And how unfortunate that we didn't have engineers spread apart, as Paul now getting some Lobos as well as a couple of strikers out, and it's going to be pretty difficult now for Excelsior to hold this position, I think. As the Lobos now move in, and there's no radar here, so Excelsior, I believe, is pretty blind as... Nope, there is radar. Radar from something. Not sure. Oh, there's a scout plane right here. There is radar. So at least the point defense is able to shoot back a little bit, but the Lobos will be able to outrange it. Take that point defense out. Take out a nice little mech marine with it. Consolation prize. And that is going to be the middle island going the way of Paul Morphe. Could call him Morpheus for this. Makes it more appropriate that they have their colors are red and blue. So Morpheus, are you going to offer the red pill or the blue pill? Well, you're already blue, so it appears that you have taken the blue pill and decided to stay in Wonderland, whereas Excelsior, as the red player, is looking to see just how far down the rabbit hole goes. Stay in Wonderland there. As Paul, with the drops, looking pretty good here. Does have engineers on this far northern island. Does have a presence on the far southern island as well. So Excelsior getting penned in a little bit here. Losing control of some of the islands. We'll see the first drop there for Excelsior on this southern island. Another 5 engineers dropped off, going straight to work on a T1 land factory. A couple more that are queued up. And we're actually not seeing the mechs queued up quite yet. But here in the middle, he is going to be losing this position as everything is overrun. The point defense is down. Engineers being brutally massacred. And the Lobos are going to clean shop, take out the last factory. That is going to be it for Excelsior's presence on this central island. Although Paul is going to be a little bit behind here. He's only got 1 engineer that is creating a land factory on this southwestern island. Whereas Excelsior does have 3 factories up, so definitely in the cards here for him to take this island back. As that first factory goes up, goes to work on some more engineers as well as a scout. To the devs who put the unit queue in the replay. Hats off to you guys, my friends. That is, it makes my job so much easier. As far as casting, also makes my casts more interesting, which that's what we're really all about, right? Nobody really cares about how easy my job is. Everybody cares about the finished product. As Excelsior moves in with another little group of engineers. No unit or no orders queued up as of yet. I believe you can queue these up before you embark on the transport. I don't remember the exact kind of combination that you need to make, but Excelsior with that drop going to go to work on a land factory. There is a striker in the vicinity there for Paul, and the engineer's not building that land factory even though there was nothing in the way. Still not building it. Okay, they've actually been canceled. Go to work on a T1 PD, but it's too late there, and Excelsior is going to be, I think, evicted from this northeastern island as well. He ends up losing control. Another drop going in. Really wants to maintain control or at least get control of this island, but it's going to be an uphill battle as Paul is already well entrenched here with 3 land factories, a good amount of spam coming out. It's going to make it very difficult. Meanwhile, we have the opposite story on the southern island. As Excelsior, with his 5 land factories, easily overwhelms the 1 there for Paul, and that is going to mean that this map is going to be looking very much like a south versus north kind of game here. Well, they do get up the plasma turret, or plasma cannon. T1 point defense for the UEF. That will get 8 kills. That's pretty good. Pretty good out of a T1 PD. That's about all you could ask for, right? I don't even know. 8 kills. Does that make sense? Let me look. Run some numbers real quick. 250? Yeah, that definitely makes sense as long as all 8 kills are tanks. Each tank is roughly 50 mass, so 50 mass, 400 mass. As Paul attempts to drop on this far eastern island, immediately gets sniped by the interceptor horde there for Excelsior, who's spread his air out across the map. He's got some in the on this eastern island, some on the most western island as well. Looking at Paul's infrastructure here, he's up to T2 air, going to work on some Navy. He's got a lot of air factories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 T1 air factories, as well as 2 T1 land factories to boot. A lot of these are idle, most likely so that he can get his initial T2 power grid up, as we see the first 3 T2 power generators queued up for our northern player. And Excelsior are actually going for a drop here on the primary island. Unfortunately, there are going to be Lobos in the vicinity. Excelsior are trying to split up, does lose 1 engineer, goes for the reclaim on the archer. Those are 2 archers, actually, so the Lobo is actually going to end up going down. Archer's not going to be able to do anything. You would think that, you know, they would build that in where, I mean, just look at the gun. If it's not shooting at anything. It's not shooting at anything. It looks like that gun could point forward. I have no idea what kind of weapon that is on there. And then as we look up north, Excelsior burst into the water, causing some problems here in the naval game for Paul Morphy. As Paul 2 frigates come off of the assembly line. Some might say in the nick of time. Paul, I'm sure, would say it was calculated. And that's going to force the 2 Thunderheads there from Excelsior away. But what's much more interesting is this beachhead that Excelsior has seemed to establish here. He does drop another 6 units here. A couple of strikers. I think all of them are strikers. Actually does have a land factory. Going to cause all sorts of problems here for Paul on the southern side of his home island. Goes for the T2 mechs. Maybe. Go for the T2 mechs. Yes. Okay, but don't drive away. Don't drive away. No! They're driving away. Okay. Realistically, they probably couldn't have killed the T2 mechs. You got Lobos, you got Paul's comm coming in as well. So the strikers are a distraction. And that is the only purpose that they will serve in this particular game. So we've got whole slews of frigates coming off of the assembly lines up north for Paul. And not as much naval production from Excelsior in the south. 4, 5, 6 naval factories to his name. Only a handful of frigates out. Only 5 frigates out versus the 7 or 8. It's the 7 that Paul have out. Excelsior's attention is understandably focused elsewhere as the strikers are massacring Lobos on the mainland. You gotta keep him moving though. Incoming! And he's dead. Alright. Poor striker. Did what he could for the cause. Now the noose is tightening. We've got a triad up here actually as well from Paul. That is gonna spell the end of this little encroachment there for Excelsior, as a new courier comes in. A courier very badly damaged. You gotta have a lot of faith in your pilots if you want to get on that ship. Working with, I think, like what, 6 HP? Yeah, 6 HP. Gotta have a lot of faith in that pilot. But Striker's gonna go down almost immediately from the triad. And this position has now become untenable for Excelsior. As we look to the middle, and Excelsior has actually walked his comm to this middle island here. Point defense goes down for Paul to try and blunt the assault. And Excelsior could probably get a little bit more done here if he moves his comm a little bit further north. Take on some of these engineers. But walls will end up going up. And for those of you who have watched the ongoing saga of T1 PD with wall templates, they do still work on terrain. I was testing them on entirely flat terrain because I do all of my testing on flat maps. I think I've talked about this before. But I do all of my testing on flat map because it takes variables out, especially whenever I'm looking at like rhinos, Cerberus turrets, and things like that. Really just everything Cybran. But yes, if there is terrain, the walls do still do something for really all the factions. I wanted to set the record straight on that one, as we were seeing a torpedo bomber get absolutely hounded by cyclones. And Paul's air is looking pretty thin here. Doesn't have a whole lot of interceptors left. That was I think one of his only torpedo bombers. I think there's maybe one more in the base. Yeah, there's a couple more in the base up here, up at the north. But not seeing a whole lot as far as air goes there for Paul. He does have all of these factories. Are they just... Okay, so they are producing now. He has completed his initial power grid and then going to work on a shield generator to protect it, which is smart. P-gens go pop. Paul also benefiting from some really nice intel here, where this scout has just kind of hung out next to Excelsior's primary base. Excelsior only working off of 3 air factories versus I think the 7 for Paul. He does get his first Star Lifter out, first Tech 2 transport, and actually going immediately for Tech 3 air, which is that's a bold strategy, Cotton. 16 minutes in a 1v1 going for T3 air. Well, I don't know. That's just not something I would do. But then again, I'm an idiot, and everybody knows that. Especially while his comm is just like hanging out here taking Lobo fire. This seems to be a dangerous spot. Like this is where you're hearing Danger Will Robinson coming in over your UEF little headset there. But Excelsior are gonna move into range. We do have a triad on the way now for Paul. Paul has had nothing but time here in the middle. Able to get a T2 land HQ, get that triad up, and now Excelsior taking pretty serious amounts of damage here. And I don't know whether he might be listening to music. This happens to me all the time, but he takes a lot of hits there, drops below 2k HP. 1000 HP? Hello? 700? Gets winged once again. Last shot, 400. Okay, and then I think he gets out of range. Alright, so that was a very close shave. Very close shave there for Excelsior. Who, in the Navy game, even though he doesn't have like as many factories, I think slugging it out relatively well as far as overall naval presence. He does have a good little frigate flotilla going on there in the middle. I think I probably would have gone for T2 Navy instead of T3 Air, but what do I know? T2 Navy allows you to range all of these islands. You can really start causing some problems there for your opponent. As Paul attempts his own drop onto Excelsior's primary island, that's going to get picked up by the interceptor screen there for Excelsior, and Paul going to be relatively unsuccessful there. And here's where we start to see Navy come into play. We've got a couple of Riptides, good contingent of Thunderheads, T1 frigates there for Paul. Excelsior might think different of it and end up moving back. Yeah, with T2 Navy, you could just wipe out this whole middle island. No contest. Get 2 destroyers, this is gone. That'd be my 2 cents. So we've got a drop, a very sneaky drop up north. Handful of Lobos going after some T2 Mexes. Not going to be able to bag any of them though. Good play, but not going to be able to seal the deal there. Excelsior is working with a slight territory disadvantage here, as Paul has maintained control of this middle island for pretty much the entire game. And you can see that kind of reflected in total mass accrued, 101k to 84k. So Excelsior sucking hind teat a little bit there as far as the Navy goes. I am seeing T2 Navy now out there for Paul up in that northern bank of naval factories. Let's take a look at where Excelsior is as far as naval tech. Looks like Excelsior is all T1 Navy across the board. So a little bit of a tech mismatch. As another dropped attempt now from Excelsior, this time with a Starlifter. Man, playing this map against people that are not like 1,000 like myself looks terrible. You have to deal with all the drops all the time. And this time, the Lobos are going to be able to do some damage here. Paul can end up losing a couple of T2 mexes, I think. Does have his comm nearby, so Lobos getting caught a little bit out of position here. And yeah, if he had kept the Lobos there, he would have potentially killed 3 T2 mexes. As it is, he's going to have to settle for it. Nope, actually, he's going to get all 3. Okay, he could have gotten 4, though, because he could have swung south and gotten that guy. As we have a naval engagement. Riptides and frigates there for Paul versus a straight frigate battle group for Excelsior. And both sides deciding to retire and save the, whatever, I'm sure, multiple hundreds of millions of dollars worth of military hardware in these frigates. The models look so cool. I love whoever did the models on these. Oh, they look beautiful, you know? You got your main gun up front, you got your AA gun in the back, and nope, he's running away. Okay. It's okay, that happened with me with women. It's like, wow, you're really beautiful. And she was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye. Until I found the one, and I told her she was beautiful, and she didn't run away. And now we're married. Such is the love story. As Excelsior goes to T3 Navy, actually. So that's going to be T3 Air as well as T3 Navy. It does have a T3 power generator to support that process. But only working with his primary air HQ and actually going for strats out of that initial air HQ. What is that doing to his energy? Okay, nope, energy he's fine. Mass, he's experiencing what every FAF player experiences, I'm sure. As we have a large T1 bomber run over this far western island. Many engineers going to lose their life for the cause. Excelsior are going to lose a couple of T2 mexes, as we now have an air battle ensue. There are some ASFs in here. I think it's only a couple though. Yeah, there's only 2 in there. There is a AA for Paul in the bay, but it looks like as far as air goes, Excelsior firmly in the driver's seat here. Paul's air just a little bit out of position, takes a couple of bad turns, and that leaves it open for Excelsior to clean this up. The tech mismatch doesn't help either. One shot from an ASF takes out an interceptor. And then to the north, we've now got some T2 Navy on the field, so we have a couple of Valiant class destroyers as well as a Bulwark T2 shield boat. As the 2 navies face off against each other once again. And Riptide's actually looking to make a quick hook around. Gonna massacre a couple of strikers as Paul tries to get back control of this southern island once again. Or I guess for the first time. We do have a naval engagement that is potentially more consequential up here at the top, as this is an entirely T1 force there from Excelsior, and causing the destroyers to turn around and make a strategic retreat. I think Paul could honestly turn this and just wipe the floor with this Navy. Like, turn and burn, absolutely crush it. Excelsior keeps forcing the issue here. Gonna lose a couple more frigates. Bulwark is a little bit out of position, but doesn't matter as the shield goes down. That is a third Valiant class destroyer showing up. And Paul just not really feeling like he wants to take the fight. I think that's a fight that he could win. I really do. But there are other things on his mind, as the ambassador, the strategic bomber, has taken out several mexes on his main island, so you can't fault him for being slightly distracted and being in multiple places at once. Now he seems to be taking a little bit more of an offensive stance here in the Navy, and on the mini-map here as well, you can see we've got the Riptides have moved in and cleared out a good portion of the mexes there for Excelsior on that side. Just doing the mini-map because I don't really feel like going to split screen right now. As the navies do engage, you got the Valiants there in the thick of it. Excelsior losing a lot of Navy here. And I think that Paul is going to come out on this with naval control. So air control going towards Excelsior throughout most of this game. Naval control going towards Paul. It's kind of how things are shaking up. As Excelsior's primary frigate battle group has now been eviscerated, and Paul, I don't think, really took that much damage there. Most of his navy seems to be in pretty good shape. But all this could change here pretty quickly as long as Excelsior keeps this Neptune class battlecruiser alive. Surrounds it with a good number of frigates, the battlecruiser. Huge bang for your buck as far as navy goes. But right now he needs to retreat, regroup, reassess the situation. And looking at total mass accrued, you see that gap still widening. Paul up about 25,000 mass. Total mass accrued right now. It doesn't look like Excelsior has gone for any T3 mexes quite yet. Paul actually missed a couple of his core mexes, upgrading to T1, or upgrading to T2. Does have a T3 mex though. A couple of T3 mexes. Several T3 mexes. There's 3 of them, I think. So that's definitely going to be helping him. Not to mention he's got access to this whole reclaim field, which some of it's been hoovered up right now, but that's another 7,000 or so reclaim he's going to be able to grab with this little factory right here. Nice little strategic placement of factories. I'm taking notes here, guys, because I did not do that in my game. I was manually dropping engineers. Took a lot more actions per minute. Things are a little quiet now. Excelsior has quelled the incursion on his southwestern island. He's going to be regaining control of some of those mexes. We do have a frigate battle group in the kind of bay area. I call it San Francisco. That is ready to apply pressure once again. But Paul's big problem right now is Navy, Paul's big problem right now is air. He just does not have air control, and Excelsior's big problem right now is Navy. He does not have naval control. So Excelsior is going to take a good air engagement once again. And Paul looking like he's trying to position to take a good naval engagement once again. I've got to say, on this map, if you have to pick one or the other, air versus Navy, as far as like which one you want to control, I think I would have to pick air, because air is ultimately going to be more flexible, allow you to hit at your opponent quicker, whereas I think Navy is more of a stranglehold kill kind of tactic. And hello, we have a nuke launcher completed by Excelsior, and that nuke is a quarter of the way done. Does he have the eco to support it? Yeah, he definitely has the eco to support it, and he has got all the assistance that he can muster on that particular nuke launcher. Let's look at Paul. Does Paul have SMD? zoom out, use our strategic icons mod. Does not look like it. Has he scouted it? He has not scouted it. Also doesn't even have a radar read down here. Does have Omni, but Omni only reaches to about here on this particular map. This is a big map. So he is going to be caught extremely off guard by this. And needs to make something happen in the Navy. And he needs to make it happen yesterday. Paul's watching this. He's like, I messaged you yesterday. I kept telling you how bored I was. Why didn't you tell me yesterday? It's an Office joke. If you guys don't watch The Office, because right after I made that joke, I was like, yeah, that's probably going to go over a lot of people's heads. But Neptune is seeming to be enough to make Paul think twice, and every second he wastes is valuable time, as the nuke is now halfway done. And does Excelsior know where Paul's comm is? Does not have a radar read on that. Actually doesn't really have all that much radar to speak of. Really just working with kind of T1 emplacements in various locations. I think his overall radar. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. That's not it. Ah, here we go. Intel, Omni, radar. Yeah, so this is Excelsior's radar coverage right now. So he needs to make a scout run to see where Paul's commander is. He needs to hope that that commander is outside of the water, which it definitely is. It is, yeah, right here, right in the middle of kind of his air grid and some power generators. But Excelsior needs to make a run right now. You can see him massing a couple of spy planes down here at the bottom. Nuke is dangerously close to being loaded. Very, very close to being loaded. And I think if you're Excelsior right now, you're taking your time here. You don't want to take any fights, because you know you've got a trump card, and you don't want to put yourself in any sort of poor position and give Paul the upper hand. You want to hold what you got. You want to make sure that it doesn't get taken away from you. Hold your map control, and that's kind of what he's doing right now with this naval battle group. On the northern side, he's just posturing. Paul could definitely crush this, I think. I think he's got enough juice. Does have T3 Navy, is working on a summit, and if that summit got into range of Excelsior's mainland, that is going to be a huge game changer. Excelsior nuke is complete, and Excelsior, I think, just blind fires it, just goes for his best guess here, because there's no read on the commander, but that is definitely within that blast radius. See if there's a reaction here from Paul. He's going to lose portions of his power grid, as well as potentially his T3 Air HQ. I'm not sure. I think it was dropped right here. That might be a little bit outside of the blast radius, but there's no reaction from Paul whatsoever. That nuke is going to land nearly on top of his head. What a great way to end the game. What a great way to end the game. What a nuclear finish. Haha. Yep, I did it. I said it. I meant it. I stand by it. Alrighty, guys. That's going to be it from me today. I have some stuff that is in the works right now. That's a little bit behind the scenes, I think. Some of it is tournament related, others is some additional science videos, things like that. So make sure you guys are subscribed. As far as people that watch my channel, about 2/3 of you are not subscribed, and most of the people that watch each individual video, it's about half and half. So, you know, a lot of you guys are returning viewers, so not sure why you guys aren't subscribed, but it's that little red button. It's free. It helps boost my ego if that's what you guys want to do. It really doesn't do anything else, to be honest with you, outside of notify you that my videos are going live. But outside of that, it helps boost my ego. It helps me understand that the content that I'm putting out is stuff that you guys like. So I guess there is some value in it. There is some value in it outside of just boosting the Duelist's ego. So that's it from me, guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and peace.